Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second Otaku Crypt podcast. Yes, I actually followed through and made another one, unlike the first attempt at this. Thank you. This is, I am coming to you live from the 25th floor of the Sheridan Center in downtown Toronto at FrostCon. This will be like one of 3 podcasts I'm doing all in a row here at FrostCon, but they'll be spread out nice and evenly. But my guests today, 2 ladies who I can only basically say they deserve their own sitcom, and I've been coming up with the pitches in my head. I might be in development with Fox. It's going to be good. They are cosplayers, philanthropists, and just around all funny girls. I have Rogue and Tannis, the dynamic duo known as Northern Panic Cosplay.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Pleased to be here.
All right. So I just need to get something out of the way while it's recording. Rogue, how cool are your parents that that's actually your given name?
Well, technically it is my middle name.
Okay.
But given an average first name and a pretty cool middle name, I figured I'd go with the second.
Oh, wait, what's the first name? I've never heard it.
It's a mystery.
I'm going to get it out.
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Yeah. And
Secret identities are secret for a reason.
she's tried to kill me for less. It's all good.
Hey, if I had tried, I would have succeeded.
Oh, really? Really?
You'd know.
Really? I found the dart in my neck. You just didn't know I had built up an immunity to that poison.
Or was it not meant to be a poison? Was it all an obvious distraction?
Man, she works on so many layers. She's clever. But, so, great to actually, sit down and have a lengthy conversation with you. Most of our conversations have been me just lurking around your booth, trying to make conversation, but...
And, me speaking at a Gilmore Girlian pace to make sure we can get it all in 5
oh
minutes
my God.
time.
Okay, so, we'll talk about this first just because I need you to actually recite the pitch while we're recording.
Prepare for motor mouth.
Oh, this is going to be amazing.
You mean the sketch pitch?
Yes, we'll get to that in a second. But we'll talk about sketch first. Whenever I see you guys at a convention, you are doing some wonderful works. You are part of a charity called Sketch with, let's hear it, Rogue, give us the pitch.
Now I'm on the spot. There's all the pressure. And my microphone is falling. Look at it go.
It's going up. Yeah.
So the standard pitch, it depends how the person comes up to the table, but is usually something to the effect of, hi, so we're running a charity event today. If you'd like to donate, all the money is being donated to Sketch. Sketch is a community arts initiative that helps youth who are 19 to 29 that are either homeless or living on the margins experience the transformative power of the art. And what that means is, when it comes down to it, when it comes to art supplies or food and rent obviously wins out. But that being said, not only the privileged should be able to experience the transformative power of the arts. So we like to support Sketch because they instill programs that are not only arts-based, but also skills-based. So they also allow people who are using these programs to develop a skill and be able to give back as well. So that's the charity that we have. And then did you want me to explain the game rules?
We'll maybe do the game rules. Take a breath, please.
I did. I took 5.
Oh, okay.
That's the Gilmore Girlian pace.
Oh, the first time I ever heard this pitch, again, let's establish the first time we met, okay? This was back at MTAC last year, the March Comic-Con. Yep. And you guys were doing a Two Broke Girls group, which I can't describe. There's a video of it on the channel. There's a Cost Profiles video. You were Max and Caroline, and you had Oleg and Louise. And the tone of that video with you, it opens on you shouting, "Stop looking at my hot naturals." That established the tone of our relationship pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how friendships with her get started.
Be loud, be boisterous, be fun, and have fun, right? I think sometimes that's what people forget about conventions, is when you see random people walking by, whether or not you're attending a convention or sitting at a table, is that the whole point is to be able to find other people who are into the same things as you, into the same kind of art or fandom, TV, film, whatever it is. So sometimes I don't always get the best reactions when I just kind of start talking to people or randomly yelling at them, depending what the character is. Usually if they can figure out that it is in fact a character, like Max Black and her being so sassy, then people are okay with it. But it becomes a little dangerous if you're playing a villain and you're rather nasty and someone doesn't pick up that you're in character. So you got to also be careful with it too. Yes.
But that was a very fun introduction to you guys. I think I met you guys, as with many people, was through Chelsea. Veilsnore Cosplay Photography. I just co-opt all of her shoots and like do video shoots.
But it's a way to network, right?
Oh, she's been like my biggest networking tool. Is basically the chain of people.
And we love her for it, right?
Yes.
And she is super awesome.
Like I'm not getting rid of Chelsea. She's dating my one of my oldest friends. Like
No, but just to make sure it doesn't seem like you're taking advantage of
no,
her.
no. Like sometimes I do feel bad because it seems like I'm just nudging myself in there, but she's cool. She's a sweetheart. And again, like I was president of the anime club when she came in. So
Very nice.
that's how we met. There's been a couple people. The very first podcast I did was somebody who was the president of the anime club when I was younger.
Very nice.
That's how I got
A
lot
passing
my
of the
friends.
torch.
Oh, it was a
Cyclical.
passing of the torch, but the most hilarious thing was people's taste. Like the president basically got to pick what was shown, and
Fun.
it went from our first one, who I call Sensei. She was smart enough to have pretty mild taste to bring in like younger people. Pat went for the shock and awe approach.
That happens.
Oh yeah, but so kind of I've never really gotten into it. Is how did you guys first get involved with sketch?
Well, for me personally, I mean, we got involved with sketch because I put it forward as one of the charities for Northern Panic, and Tannis agreed. But for me personally, I first came across sketch back when I was in my first year of university, actually. I had just moved to Toronto. I was in the theater program at the University of Toronto, and we were doing a production of Urinetown at Hart House. And I was the assistant director of this production, and our producer at the time was Aidan Nullman. And he had this brilliant marketing gimmick for Urinetown. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but the whole plot of it is that there's a drought and a water shortage, and so it's a privilege to pee, and everyone has to pay to use the bathroom, and if you don't, you get shipped off to Urinetown, where like all the gross people go. Then I won't sort of ruin any of the other surprises.
That's very high concept.
That's the basic plot of it. And when we were doing Urinetown to advertise for it, our producer decided that they would get a porta potty, and they rented a porta potty and put it in different locations around town, or not around town, sorry, around campus. And at varying points, if people were brave enough to go into these random porta potties sitting in the middle of campus where they shouldn't be, they would find tickets to the show in the porta potty.
That's awesome.
And so one of the other things we wanted to do with this production was also have a way to give back. And so at which point Aidan suggested the charity sketch. And I'd never heard of them at this point. And he sort of filled me in. And like I've always said personally, being an artist, having an arts-based charity to give back to makes a huge difference. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sick Kids and all the other charities out there are brilliant, worthy causes, but a lot of them also tend to get huge donors, corporate donors, and a lot of the arts-based stuff tends to get thrown by the wayside.
Yeah, like I kind of to bring the general populace into it. There's been episodes of Big Bang Theory where they explain that, where it's like even like within a university, right? You're gonna have like one rich donor, and everybody's clamoring to see who's gonna get the donation, right?
One of my favorite things when it comes to stuff like that, or like financial distribution. When I was at the University of Toronto, the way it was set up, there was my residence hall, and then this weird little sketchy alley that didn't really go anywhere, and then there was the playhouse right beside it on the other side.
Right.
And the sketchy alley had a fire escape to the residence hall, so people could leave the residence hall and go out through that way. And it had asphalt, but it was cracked asphalt. It wasn't, the nicest. But again, the only people that ever came in here, other than students leaving the residence hall, was the garbage truck once a week or whenever it came to collect things. So in our theater, over the course of 4 years, we had a leak in the roof. That got worse and worse, to the point where, I kid you not, a giant garbage pail was sitting in the middle of this room, consistently collecting water, and more often than not, it was full when we would come in and see this. However, the university thought it would be brilliant to pave that alleyway. And then we watched them do it twice over the 4 years I was there, and still we had not gotten any funding or anything to fix our roof.
Oh my!
Now I'm sure there was some bureaucratic, the money was given for this express. I'm sure there's a million and one reasons, but really.
It just goes to show that art, even in when it comes to funded institutions such as school, art is often the first program cut. So programs like Sketch are just wonderful for kids who, even if they just don't have access to it at school, it's an outlet for them to express themselves through art.
Yeah, if you go onto the Sketch website and the sort of throw a fundraiser section of their website, because anyone can throw them a fundraiser, you'll see there's one of our quotes from one of the many events that we've done, and the quote was basically that as artists we believe that everyone should have the ability to experience the transformative power of the arts, not only the privileged. And I think it's hard for people to remember, and I mean, not even just arts, you could even put sports and a lot of other leisure activities into this category, but life is hard and expensive and difficult, and time is limited. And so being able to actually explore and experience all of, like,
Yeah.
run-on sentence, win.
No, I can definitely agree with that. Like, even, those few times where, I'll get home from work and I do a trades job now, not exactly a creative thing. And, I've come home and started just, like, getting covered in, like, paper mache and plaster and making armor out of that. And that, like, this is coming from an upper middle class white kid, and, like, how good that feels for somebody who doesn't have the opportunity to be able to express themselves and just be busy with something.
And it's therapeutic.
Yes, exactly.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there when you said express yourself, because I think there's also something, I mean, yes, art is fun. Yes, it's enjoyable. But art isn't just a fun hobby. Art can also be a way to explore your own identity, to find out who you are.
Or to express any kind of inner
grief.
turmoil
Exactly.
you might be going
it's a way to work through things, and exactly as you mentioned, a form of therapy. And so to have it so limited to just these elite, it just doesn't seem right.
And kind of, let's, make a great segue here in talking about an art and being able to express yourself, the one of cosplay.
Ooh, cosplay. I love that one.
Yes.
I really wish we could do, like, a video thing, because we are sitting here and Rogue is, like, half painted like a reindeer.
I sure am. I enjoyed how we opened up talking about Max Black and all the sassy, hot naturals as I'm sitting here, a Disney reindeer from Frozen. But,
Yeah.
But
And I was
it's a wide
Rapunzel
range.
earlier.
Yes.
We vary from princess to sassy
yeah, that's
quite quickly.
sometimes both. If I do have you in a video as combat Ariel.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just the mermaid-looking girl in the seashell bra brandishing a Bowie knife.
Hey, you got to protect those oceans.
Fellas.
Trident can't be everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
You got to delegate that stuff,
Kings
man.
have kingly things to do.
You basically made Ariel into the Arya of, Trident's daughters,
It's
right?
true.
She's the one who will go out and actually do things.
Get things
She's
done.
the only one adventurous enough to leave
Exactly.
the ocean.
She's the Arya. She's like not the Sansa who's like, I'm just gonna get dragged
Hey,
everywhere.
no, we're going to leave Sansa alone. I will defend Sansa to the death.
Oh, we got a Sansa defender. Yes.
I've been defending Sansa right from the beginning. Here's the thing. I get that she was a whiny, annoying little child, but I think the key word in there is child, and she's 13, and everyone does not give her enough credit. Sometimes you have a crush on a stupid person.
And she was scared.
And then you learn how that stupid person is. And exactly, she was scared. She learned, but she was stuck. And you can't just be like, well,
If you're
F
that
you, Joffrey, I'm
terrified,
out.
do you think you're gonna just run away? She was probably afraid that if she tried running away, something worse would happen.
even
to
if she
her.
ran away, what would that prove
Where
or
would she
do?
go?
Exactly. I think that she's a lot smarter than people give her credit for. And what upsets me the most is it wasn't until she came down that stupid staircase in that stupid black dress that everyone was like, ooh, the Sansa's getting interesting now. No.
Can we just
she
talk
was interesting
about how
from the
gorgeous
beginning.
that dress was?
Yes, the dress is gorgeous.
God.
But Sansa was amazing from the beginning because you actually, her, like Khaleesi, and I think Khaleesi gets more credit for this, or Daenerys, is that both Sansa and Daenerys go through such huge transformations of who they are as people. And I mean, in the book, I'm pretty sure, I have not read the book, they're about the same age. And so again, seeing this transformation and being a girl in this kind of world where you have no power and no control, my one regret with Sansa is that now she's going to be learning all the things from Littlefinger as opposed to learning all the survival things from Tyrion. And her and Tyrion could have been so awesome together.
My one non-regret about Sansa is that she's just been cast to play the young Jean Grey.
Ooh, nice.
I
didn't
am
know
I
that.
wanted to. I
okay
wanted to bring
with
that.
that.
I did not
wanted
know
to bring
about
that
that.
up.
I
Sophie,
very much enjoy that casting.
Sophie's gonna be young Dream. Like here's the thing
She's
that I
gonna be
often.
perfect as young Jean Grey.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be great too. But this is the moment where I do like to. People get really into the characters on Game of Thrones since we're having Game of Thrones chat
Yeah.
now. I do love to have that moment where you actually. People got into it. I got my parents into this. My dad, who does
I
not
got
do
my
fantasy,
dad into
right?
it too. He's
Same.
read all
Right?
of the books.
And basically, he's gotten into these characters. He was wishing for Joffrey's death, and
So
he's
was
not.
my dad. He
I'm
was
sorry,
so
you say this
elated.
like there was someone not wishing for Joffrey's death? Was that a thing?
I found some weird slash fiction, but
Fair enough.
okay.
There's always that one.
But the thing that I think is amazing about that show is casting. Okay, so
I would
like,
agree.
remember,
Yes.
With the Joffrey character, everybody hates the character. Let's step aside and go, man, Brendan nails that character.
Yep.
Oh, definitely,
He's so
without
good.
a doubt.
You hate that kid, and you have to step aside and go, that's a good actor.
Well, yeah, because
But you
if
almost
you look
worry
at him
about
in the
them.
first Batman movie, nobody
He's
hated
the kid
him
from the fire escape.
Nobody- he's-
Exactly.
You're all like, "Oh, cute little kid," and then you hate him so much.
Well, I mean, growing up definitely helped him out a little bit in that category. But no,
Yeah.
I do think it's a little dangerous, though. You got to be careful. One day he's just going to be walking down the street and get punched in the face.
That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Well,
Whereas
Like,
as
you know,
someone
you
who's
do-
Joffrey, you just have to sit there
you
and
have
take
to-
it and be like, okay, that
Yeah.
was
you
for
do
Joffrey,
have to
and move
have that
on.
moment.
yeah,
And then
that wasn't personal. I get it. All right.
yeah, and I think just everybody cast was amazing. Like
Yeah.
Very perfect.
it's one of my favorite it's kind of an Easter egg is Carice Van Houten, who plays Melisandre, and Liam Davis.
I love Melisandre. She's the reason I'm
Let's-
growing my hair out.
We'll just briefly talk mixed feelings about Melisandre. It's like, one, Carice plays that character perfectly because it's I'm terrified of you, but I want to nail you.
And she is crazy, and I love it.
Yeah, it's I want to nail you, but I'm terrified of you, and I think that is the exact mystique she has.
See, whereas she's like where everyone else sits with Sansa, I sit with her. I have no attachment to her. She's weird, she's creepy, and she needs to go.
That's why I
like
Yeah.
like I get where she fits in the mosaic of the story. But
Exactly.
as far as a personal character I enjoy, nah, I want her gone.
but here-
her and Greyjoy.
Yeah, here's a bit of a great thing. So Carice and Liam, so that's Davos and Melisandre, characters, opposing characters.
Yes.
They bump heads, right? They have done 2 romantic comedies together.
Nice.
Where they
That's
played,
cute.
where they
I'm
were,
gonna
where
need to
their,
watch
where their
these.
characters were love interests.
I
Like,
need to see these.
Well, and it's funny though because if you've done that though, then you can imagine on set between filming and stuff,
Oh,
there was
yeah.
definitely enough bickering. There always is. Do you know what I mean? No matter how happy
Yeah,
the couple
yeah.
in reality or on screen, there's always the tension that goes with that.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they channel that within
exactly.
certain scenes with them.
And Liam's a seasoned actor too, so he'd be able to pull that. Yeah, it's a movie called Black Butterfly, I think, where it's a great, like, the cover shot is Liam chasing after Carice, and then, like, side by side they like cut a picture from Game of Thrones with, like, Davos
Nice.
trying to
That's
kill
funny.
her, and it was just like, man, these guys are good actors.
Yeah.
They're really good actors.
Well, I think one of the best for me personally as far as casting was Natalie Dormer as Marjorie. And part of the reason
Marjorie.
is if you have not yet watched The Tudors with Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, you need to watch The Tudors. And I say this as someone who is obsessed with history, particularly the Tudor time period in history. I'm not saying the show is historically accurate by any stretch of the imagination.
I.e.
But
Henry being skinny.
well, he was skinny for a time. He was skinny for a time. He was the Renaissance man. Anyway, that's a whole other ballgame. When it comes to Natalie Dormer, I think part of why I'm so in love with her is I've seen so many renditions of Anne Boleyn, from Natalie Portman to Bellatrix. What's her name?
Oh, Helena Bonham Carter.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As well as others, and I've seen countless Anne Boleyns, and I've never once been satisfied with them.
And Anne Boleyn is your girl.
Exactly. I mean, people think Rogue's my girl, and she is. I do love her to death. But Anne Boleyn is, if there was ever just one character, one person, theater, film, whatever it was, if I could only ever be one, I would want to be Anne. So I hold her to a very high standard. And consistently being disappointed gets frustrating. And so when I watched The Tudors, quite honestly, I expected to want to bail out partway through, especially because they had really, HBO'd it up, all the sex scenes, all the crazy stuff that doesn't really need to be there. But when she walked on stage, and when she spoke, and when she held the floor, I fell in love with this woman. She was incredible. And then the thing is, if you're familiar with Game of Thrones back history, it's kind of based on the War of the Roses. And the Marjorie character, War of the Roses also being in Tudor time period, for anyone who's not familiar, the Marjorie character, whether or not she was actually based on Anne Boleyn, her characteristics, her mannerisms, everything about her is Anne. And so watching Natalie Dormer get to continue this character, in a sense, but still have a whole new version of it, it's brilliant.
See, with the Marjorie character is, I'm going to be the asshole and say,
go for it.
who read the books. Marjorie's not that interesting of a character in the books. And,
Interesting.
kind of going back to
Interesting, yeah.
HBOing it up, where they made Marjorie a very interesting character. And I think
interesting.
it was a case of, because of that world being so, women
And
aren't...
her
Complex.
talents
Yeah,
as an actress.
it being such a patriarchal world and marketing, you got to make this show somewhat appealing to the female base, right?
Wait, they actually care about that these days?
Sorry, I was thinking about boobs.
We'll return to you shortly.
I think that was a case where we, needed one of these female characters to be a lot stronger in order to be interesting. And the way she took it, and in the books, Marjorie was a player of the game. Mm-hmm. in the show, she's a master of the game.
So I'm curious if does that come from direction that she's being given, or does that come from Natalie channeling Anne herself in the character?
See, I do believe that a lot of these things are because of characters, and D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, the guys who created the show, they're smart enough to know when something is good to be changed.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, remember, George is on set to approve these things.
There's one scene I still have a qualm with.
Oh, let's hear it.
Yes. I think everybody knows
everyone
the scene
has this
from the most recent season after Joffrey's death.
And this in his over his dead body.
Yeah, it was supposed to be consensual.
Something that's supposed
in
to
the book.
be consensual between two people who are in love, as opposed to someone being assaulted.
And in the book, it was consensual, and everything in the show leads you to believe that it would be. There's I'm not okay with that scene change.
I'm all for changes, and I understand it can never be a perfect adaptation, but
that one it seemed unnecessary.
And I can't help but wonder what the choice was behind that, because for me, Jamie was the character we hate him in the beginning, and then you start to grow and love him, which is great.
And it's like, why throw that
but
wrench
here's the
in
thing.
again?
Well, that's just it. He's on this plane and he's getting better, and everyone's like, "Oh, we start to like Jamie now." And I was like, "I did until he raped his sister over his son's dead body." Like, how do you come back from that? Do you know what I mean? That's not. I'm sorry of the word choice, but kids. But seriously, he had done crappy stuff before, killing the king, but you heard all the rationalizations and the justifications and the reasons for it.
I was so excited for that. Having read the books, I was so excited for that scene in the bath.
Yeah.
I was like, it's the moment where we find out that Jamie's a tortured soul.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, that guy,
just,
that's how crazy Aerys was.
And that's what kills me is I could have been on the Jamie bandwagon. I could have been fond of this character, and then they took all of that away from me in that moment. And I think it's funny. It goes back to what you were saying before about marketing things. I can't help but wonder why that choice was made. There was already a perfectly good scene in the book to follow. You have George on set, and I believe he even apologized afterwards for the scene.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he didn't know that it was going to be a thing. What was your reasoning behind that? Do you know what I mean?
I haven't taken a deep dive into that. It was only really now as you're mentioning it that I'm really, checking myself and going, yeah, that was bad.
And here's the thing. To anyone 1 in 3 women in Canada have been assaulted. So here's the thing. And not to be like, all these people are going to feel whatever. They all have their own feelings and whatnot. But to be someone who has that history or background and watch that scene, that character is ruined for you now.
Yes, exactly.
Jamie's not coming back from that. And it's unfortunate because I think for the story to unfold the way it needs to, Jamie needs to be a tragic hero in the sense that we should be on his side.
Yeah.
So.
I just want to take a back step for a moment.
Oh, please.
And
we're getting
talk
way
about
geeky on Game of Thrones
how amazing of a choice it was to cast Natalie as Cressida in the newest Hunger Games movie.
Oh, I haven't watched Hunger Games.
Oh, she
I'm
is
with you there.
so perfect in it. Honestly, in the book, the character is almost somebody that, the ego, you don't like her, but the way that Natalie does it on screen, she brings the ego, but in a way that you actually do love the character, and she does it so flawlessly that I couldn't imagine anyone else playing that role.
I remember seeing promo photos with her looking really sexy with a half-shaved head.
She looks really good with the haircut.
That is a tough look to pull off.
It is,
and she
nails it.
It's gorgeous.
Well,
she nails it.
Tell me,
what doesn't that girl look gorgeous in, though?
I know,
Those
right?
eyes of hers, oh my God.
That's why she's Irene Adler.
Yeah, what doesn't that woman look gorgeous in?
It's like one of the ones where you...
Casanova I wasn't huge on. And it's actually funny, I didn't even realize it was her in Casanova with Heath Ledger until I
haven't seen
years
that one.
later, and then I went back and went, oh, that was you.
Well, it's like earlier we said, the guy who played Joffrey was the little kid on the balcony in Batman.
Well, and it's funny when
little things like that.
And it's funny to see what characters do actually stick out for you. Do you know what I mean? Because, one perfect example I love. So, Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
My friend Morgan, huge into Footloose, loves Kevin Bacon, worships the guy. I, on the other hand, first came to Kevin Bacon through Sleepers, which is a court drama where he's a prison guard for a juvenile facility, and all the most horrible things you can think of to happen in that prison do. And so I can't look at this guy. And so we each have these paradigm perspectives of this actor, and I find that very interesting. Depending what you come to first, it doesn't matter chronologically what happened first, but it's what you experience first.
Yeah, my mom can't watch anything with Anthony Hopkins because the first thing she saw him in was Silence of the Lambs. Hello, Clarice.
Some fava beans.
But yeah, so we'll get away from Game of Thrones because we can clearly talk about that forever.
For hours.
We'll just finish
this
up
entire podcast will just
This
be
is
like
Game of Thrones cast
6
now.
hours of you talking to us about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But I
and
haven't
how
even gotten
gorgeous
into how mad
Natalie
I am
is.
at my favorite character.
I
yet.
know, right? Like,
whereas and just basically like I get to be the I don't know if this is what they like to call white knighting or not, but here I am sitting waiting for next season. I'm like, Dorne next season, real women, yes, yes.
As someone who has not read the books, I will be pleasantly surprised.
Okay, so basically,
Don't tell me.
No,
don't
no,
tell
no,
me.
no.
La, la, la,
Okay,
la,
okay.
la, la,
I want to say one thing
la.
that is no spoilers. Really, okay. Prince Oberyn, how awesome was he?
Pretty awesome, and I'm pretty sure he killed the mountain. Why?
Yeah. Imagine he has 4 daughters.
I know he does.
There you go. That's
Someone
all
already
you
ruined
need
that
to
for
know.
me,
Nice.
sadly.
There are 4 female Prince Oberyns.
Yes.
The end.
I'm actually so excited to see what What's-Her-Face does. I can't remember her name now. Oberon's lady.
yeah.
Ellie.
I'm
It's
hoping-
Elia or
Aaliyah.
Ilaria.
Aaliyah.
Yeah.
Aaliyah.
That girl.
Aaliyah.
I'm hoping she does some cool stuff because I loved her as
I
Niobe
think
in
his
Rome.
brother is going
They
to have a
brought
lot
so
to
much
say
Rome
about
cast
what
over.
happened.
Well, Rome was such a brilliant historical series. I feel it's one of those, honestly, Rome and the Tudors were 2, and the White Queen. They're 3 that I would put on a level of the actors in each of these 3 series. You're going to see them in Game of Thrones if you haven't already. You're like all of the sort of modern
kind of like
fantasy
Harry
stuff,
Potter and Doctor Who.
right?
Okay, and just we'll wrap this up with kind of talking about basically the cast of Game of Thrones is imported from Ridley Scott and Harry Potter.
And Doctor Who.
Like seriously, watch Kingdom of Heaven. Half the cast of Game of Thrones and half the cast of Harry Potter is in it.
Happens.
It's great.
Honestly, I think that's just what it is with British stuff because,
Exactly.
like,
the pool is not as big as you
Doctor
think.
Who, Harry Potter, all of the British
Or
people on
they're
Game
just
of
all that
Thrones,
good.
it's
That's
so
it, too.
interchangeable.
Yeah.
And Bill Nye, Martin Freeman, they're in all of Nick Frost and Simon Pegg's stuff.
There you go. But so yeah, we'll just kind of take a bit of a shift here because we just talked Game of Thrones on a channel that's dedicated to anime mostly. But
That happens. Maybe there'll be an animated version of Game of Thrones, and then it'll be win-win.
Yeah.
for
there
all.
was a graphic novel, and then I'm
Well,
going
there
to
you
totally
go.
be in the right.
Exactly.
But since this is about cosplay too, and you guys are great cosplayers, you always do stuff together that's always super fun.
We try.
Let's just take like the history of that. What was the first thing? How did you guys meet first of all, and how did you guys start cosplaying
it's
together?
a cute story,
Oh,
actually.
yay!
And we actually told the story once today, so we're all prepped and warmed up.
Yeah.
Hey, all right, I get the refined version. Hit me.
So one of our first conventions, we were each standing in line to meet Stan Lee and get his autograph. And this was for me, this was my first event in the sense that I had never been to an event of this scale. It was Fan Expo.
It was my
And
first one
I
ever.
did not get in time the way I was supposed to. I was supposed to have like priority entrance or whatever it is for the deluxe pass, which never ends up being a thing, and I don't understand. Anyway.
You just spent
so-
an extra $50 was all.
Exactly, right? So it took me forever to get in. By the time I finally got in, I'm booking it to get to the Stan Lee thing. And I see a line that's moving, and it's at the end of the line. And the last person I see in that line is dressed as Legacy Rogue. And I'm like, I think I'm in the right place. And so we check and ask, and that person was Tannis.
And since we were both dressed as different versions of Rogue, her as the 90s Jim Lee version, myself as the Legacy version, we struck up a conversation over our mutual love of the character and the man we were about to meet, Mr. Stan himself.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah.
You guys have done a lot of fun cosplays together. One of my favorites, and just because it's retro, and you guys use it as your poster.
Josie and the Pussycats.
Josie and the Pussycats. Kids,
Yeah.
that wasn't just a bad movie with Tara Reid in the 90s.
I
that
know,
was
right?
a cartoon and comic book.
Archie.
But
comics.
that
Exactly.
movie is the reason why we decided to do those costumes.
Yeah.
Since She's All That came out when I was 11 years old, I have been told that I look like Rachel Lee Cook. And she's the actress that played Josie in Josie and the Pussycats. So when I was trying to think of new cosplays, I was like, well, I look like her, so why don't I do Josie from Josie and the Pussycats? So I suggested it to Rogue. And it turns out she's a lifelong Archie fan and has always wanted to be Melody Valentine.
I just
so-
love that they had the music notes. In every speech bubble they had in the Archie comics, she always had little music notes around her
Yeah.
speech.
So the rest was kind of history.
Everything she did was a sing-songy
I
thing.
know. It was so much
And
fun.
honestly, I think those are some of the most fun costumes to wear. We just bounce around, and we've gotten 2 kisses from Michael Rooker because of those costumes.
Agreed. That was probably one of the best moments in those costumes.
Yeah.
Although I think other people don't have as much fun depending how long they're around me because I have the drumsticks as Melody.
Yeah.
But I tend to just drum. on everything except a drum, so it can be a little annoying at times. But hey, it's fun.
They're like, hi, cute baby. Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba.
Yeah, and
This
people
isn't the
are
soft
always
spot,
really
is it?
excited to see it too, because you really don't see stuff from Archie like ever.
No.
Yeah.
Because that's like that's our parents' comic books. That's not.
Hey,
supposed to be
I
ours.
cosplayed Jughead, man, and it was great. As opposed to eating carrots all day, like I had to today for Sven, I got to eat cheeseburgers all day. Winning.
Yeah. So, and we actually,
That would totally
in those
solve my not eating
costumes,
at
got
conventions problem.
photographed by the people from Archie, and they got us to sign waivers so that they could use our picture.
There you go.
Yeah,
There
so
you
the
go.
Archie people themselves approve of us as Josie and Melody.
That is like when you get it right from voice actors and artists, and you get the official stamp on it. That is the best.
Yep.
I recently had one of those moments at Niagara Falls Comic Con where, you guys kind of. You said, Rogue, you're not terribly into anime. You know kind of the classics.
I wouldn't say I'm not terribly into it. I think the issue is, as a child, I was into it ad nauseum. So a lot of the
Yep.
90s animes,
Yes.
I'm all over that.
Perfect. This is a Sailor Moon story.
Oh, are we going to talk about Toby?
Toby?
This is about something that came from Toby's mouth. Okay.
Well, there we go.
He's
All right.
such a fine fella.
Okay. So Toby is the voice of Tuxedo Mask.
Yes, he is.
So basically, at Niagara Falls Comic Con, it's the 25th anniversary, and Sailor Moon Crystal, the reboot, happened. And so I was with my friend who wanted to get her thing signed by the cast. And I always had this thing from the original North American run of Sailor Moon. There's a bit where Tuxedo Mask has amnesia, but then a mysterious Arabian Night shows
Moonlight
up.
Knight.
The Moonlight Knight. He becomes
that
the man.
guy.
He becomes the man who saves them. And thank you for saying you love it, because I loved him too, and nobody else did.
Aw.
This became like a lifelong thing. Does anybody else like Moonlight Knight? Does anybody else like Moonlight
Do you even
Knight?
remember who Moonlight Knight is?
Exactly. And I asked Toby, does anybody else like Moonlight Knight? And he said, no. Like, oh God, it's official.
He's
Moonlight Knight
probably-
doesn't like Moonlight Knight.
It happens.
Yeah. Oh, he's such a funny guy, though.
Oh, he was hysterical.
It's funny. The first time I met him, I was at March Toronto Comic Con, or was this back when Wizard
no,
World?
I think it was when you were working with him.
Wizard World? No, because I met him first at a convention, and I was dressed as Sailor Jupiter, but I didn't have my wig at the time, and my hair was pink, so it was a little off. Anyway, I ended up meeting him, and he recognized the pink hair, thought it was a little off, but called it a day. Then a few months later, Fanfiction the Show gave me a call, and they wanted to do a Sailor Moon version of the show, and they had actually cast Toby Proctor to play Tuxedo Mask in the show. And so I was cast as Sailor Jupiter, and when I showed up for the first read, when we were all reading through together, we sat down and he kind of looked at me and I looked at him and I just smirked. I obviously had, I knew who he was. And he slowly pieced it together and he's like, I think I've seen you as Jupiter before. And then we got talking.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
in fact,
introduced
in that
me to
show,
him.
that fan fiction show, so the thing was all the different Sailor Scouts were like, they were all trying to date Tuxedo Mask, but they were all wrong for some reason. And Jupiter, I was the big butch one, so I had to try and pick him up. So I got to get right in there and try and pick up Toby Proctor. Failed miserably, but it was worth a shot.
Yeah, guys, you can't see it. Rogue's not a big girl.
Hey, 5'3" is not that small.
Yeah, but it's she is wearing like a skin tight thing. It's making her look smaller than she is.
I'm little.
She's weird, but she looks adorable. She doesn't have her antlers on, but she still has reindeer face paint on. It's adorable.
Reindeers are better than people.
And I still haven't seen Frozen.
Fix that.
It's bad. I still haven't seen How to Train Your Dragon either.
Frozen's more important.
We can't be friends anymore.
Oh, Tannis, but I love you.
This interview is over.
Oh.
Mic flip. Oh, wait, no, mic drop.
Mic drop.
It's in a stand. You gotta
Toss everything
unscrew and
everywhere.
throw
Mic
it.
stand
Run
flip.
away.
Yeah,
Hotel room trash.
Whole stand. Just go rock star on this place. But yeah, so clearly we've all had great interactions with Toby. That was
Yeah.
awesome. He loved my tattoos. I have a couple tattoos, and he asked me about them. I'm like, man, these things were the best conversation starters I ever got. I have
My South Park tattoos are like that.
yeah. It's the one because it has an eyeball with triangles. Everybody assumes I'm into the Illuminati. Like, nope. Just really love Forgotten Realms novels. And then the other one's Game of Thrones, and everybody's into Game of Thrones. So it's a great conversation starter that way. So yeah, but you guys have done a lot of fun costumes together. Let's just kind of, what was your introduction to cosplay in the community? Because you're talking about you met at a different convention. Was that?
I would honestly say that was the same time we really got introduced to the community as well. We just made the effort because we didn't really know each other that well at the time anyway. We had no idea that we were going to be
from
friends.
my hometown. She went with Peter, and
No boyfriend.
Yeah. And now we just
Do you know
go
I've never
together.
really known his name until just now?
Yeah, well, everyone just assumes his name is Gambit because my name is Rogue and we dress up as Rogue and Gambit. They all assume he's Remy.
I have
I'll
been.
assume that's actually his name.
Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be proof of soulmates.
Right?
That would be proof of
The
soulmates.
ultimate
To legally
find.
change it. I'm sorry.
You
it's
need to legally
happening.
change your middle name to Remy or we can't date anymore. 5 years over.
Yeah, no, sorry.
I've literally
sorry,
called him
forget
Cajun
about that
until now.
ring we've been shopping
I call him
for.
Cajun all the time. Do you know what I mean? And I think because it's become just such a loose reference for him and he responds to it, it works out.
Yeah.
But so basically, you guys kind of discovered the community together on top of.
Yeah.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, it really did.
You got your cosplay
We're
BFFs.
cosplay soulmates.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like,
And it always works out. We never want to be the same character.
Yeah, that's actually been pretty awesome the way it worked out. And it's funny because I've got the rogue streak in my hair for anyone who obviously can't see me. And Tannis is a redhead. And we've noticed that by default, I tend to favor the characters that have white hair. If they don't have white hair, they're blonde. And she always favors the redheads in the
Always.
series. And down to Josie and Melody, or Jean Grey and Rogue, or...
Everyone-
Anna
Anna and Elsa.
Anna and Elsa, and then some, which hopefully we'll be getting around to this year.
Exactly.
You still need
And,
to watch Frozen.
Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy.
Oh yeah, that was the other one, Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
That was a fun shoot we did where we did a ghost version of Gwen Stacy, kind of creeping in and staring at Spider-Man and
As
MJ
as
together.
Me and Spidey are posing for couples photographs.
Aw.
And he can't take his eyes off Gwen's ghost.
He might be with you now, but he's thinking of me.
it's so cold.
Yeah, it
happens.
is kind of dark.
Hey,
but-
you know what? You know what was cold? Killing Gwen Stacy. That was
Yeah.
pretty cold.
I honestly think, like, you can only think the writers of the comic book were like, they had a childhood friend fetish and like, oh, but we've already established Gwen as a character.
Yeah, that's what the bridge is for.
Yeah.
But so on that note, any future children, are they totally gonna get X-Men names?
And no future
No future children.
No.
No.
From either of us.
The line ends with us for both
You know
of
what?
us.
Power to you for it.
Our children are the community and the charities.
And our cats.
And, of course, our cats. We each have 3.
We each have 3 cats.
But I would honestly
Yeah.
say that, yeah, our children are the community. We're always going to be active and involved with the community. We'll always try and be involved there. But yeah, kids.
Our kids are the kids we entertain when they come to the events, and
The kids whose eyes that light up when they see you as their favorite Disney character.
yeah.
Those are great moments.
Those-
I only brought that up because one of my friends from high school just had her first baby and did name him Logan.
Aw.
Nice.
It's just in
I'm
my head.
kind of it wasn't fandom based, and I'm so glad to hear it because one of my closest, oldest, dearest friends named her daughter Bella.
Oh.
And no, it was not after Twilight, so we
What's
can
that?
all rejoice.
All right, I've wiped that from my memory.
I'm sorry, were you saying something?
I don't know. There were sparkly fangs and something with the stuff.
Oh, look, what's over here?
I was like, oh, a CN Tower. There's a tall tower there. I can see the CN Tower right from my window.
So that, folks, is how you end a lively conversation.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, it is. You guys have some stuff to do. That's been about 40 minutes. That's some good times. We've had.
You listened to me for 40 whole minutes?
I'd listened to you guys for hours. I think
Aw.
you guys are so great together. Like, Tannis said, she doesn't talk much, but I needed the two of you guys.
No, we're a
together.
dynamic duo.
Exactly.
Yeah. We
You're-
feed off each other.
You're a package deal, and I was getting you up here. But yeah, so you guys have to get back to your booth and keep doing the good works that you guys do.
Fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
But you can come fight the good fight with us April 25th. April
going on?
25th, we're doing a Cosplay City cleanup. So it's in Allen Gardens,
cool.
downtown Toronto. And in Cosplay, we're going to be cleaning up the park and seeing how big of a garbage mountain we can make.
So come on down in costume or not, depending, whichever, and let's make Toronto a little bit more beautiful.
And
Yes.
we promise we're bringing rubber gloves and stuff.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Yes.
And apparently, this was just voted the best city to live in based on a bunch of
I
stuff.
saw something about that online.
And so let come help make that actually true and help
Exactly.
these
Do our
lovely
part.
ladies do some cleanup. All right. So where can everybody find you guys online?
You can find us at Facebook, or on Facebook rather, at www.facebook.com/Northern Panic, or you can find us on Twitter at Northern Panic Co. CO.
Awesome. And of course, there's your individual pages, which will be the Northern Belle Rogue on Facebook, and Don't Panic Tannis on Facebook and Twitter.
Don't Panic Cosplay
Don't
on
Panic
Facebook and Don't Panic Tannis on Twitter.
Yes.
With 2 N's.
And it's funny, I'm Northern Bell Rogue on Facebook, but North Bell Rogue on Twitter.
Oh, did
'cause
you have to
Northern
get somebody
wouldn't
from it?
fit.
Oh, it was a character
Letter
thing.
Yeah.
restrictions.
Curse you, Twitter, and your limitations.
How am I supposed to properly express
I had to-
myself in 160 characters?
I hit the sweet spot on the name of Otaku Crypt was apparently so out there. I got it on everything.
Nice.
I'm like, I nailed it. But yes, so thank you guys for listening to this second episode of the Otaku Crypt podcast, and thank you to Rogue and Tannis so much for coming up to chat with me in the
Thanks
middle of
for
a busy
having
day.
us. It was fun to be here.
Tannis, you need to go home and watch Sin City 2.
Yes, I do.
I need to have this conversation with you because I'm freaking out, okay? Okay.
She's a
do
Nancy
that.
Callahan for anyone who's confused.
And well, as I said, we were talking about, we got to do a shoot where you're going to be Ghost Hardigan, right?
Oh, heck yes. I'm
got-
Hardigan all the way.
We got to
Yeah.
we got to do
she,
that.
she is 100% my heart again.
Yes.
Face scar.
Face scar. So, again, thank you so much for listening, everybody. And I will actually be recording another podcast in, like 20 minutes. But these will be spaced about a couple weeks apart. So I will see you in 2 weeks. I'm psychic right now. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time. It's Joshy T signing off.